Hi everyone, and welcome back to my David Lynch series. I'm talking about the television show Twin Peaks. But before I do, I wanted to acknowledge a few people who've done video responses. Thanks very much to all you guys for doing that. I've created a playlist and I'm attaching all those videos to that playlist, and so they'll all be in one spot for everybody. Dr. Hasselin, am I pronouncing that right? Hasselin did a video response with a review of Blue Velvet, and Film Speak did Blue Velvet and Eraserhead reviews. So thanks very much to both of you. And recently, Michael, our Canadian friend Michael of Red Chair, talked about my reviews of Dune and Wild at Heart, and he expressed a few reservations about my reviewing style. As I said in the beginning, probably not the best person to do a David Lynch series because I'm not the biggest fan of his work. I like his uniqueness. Yeah, not a lot of what he has done has not really been my favorite type of thing. However, now we're getting into Twin Peaks, and I have to say that the pilot for the show, it's like an hour and a half minus commercial breaks. The first episode of this show is probably my favorite thing that Lynch has ever made. It's got a slight amount of oddness to it, but not overwhelmingly so, and it never seems to be odd for, inexplicable reasons, odd for the sake of oddness. The television show is set in this fictional northwestern American town of Twin Peaks, near the Canadian border, and in the opening scene, the body of a high school student named Laura Palmer is discovered. She's been murdered, and so there's now this investigation into how that happened, which uncovers a lot of criminal element in Twin Peaks that sullies the image of this pleasant little town. Also sullying the image of the pleasant little town is the fact that most of the major characters have secret relationships with other people's spouses and significant others and what have you. Practically every character in the show has a relationship that they want to keep hidden away, which is fun. And it's an ongoing series that's plays into some of the conspiracy plots involving extortion and blackmail and insurance scams and what have you, not just the murder of the student. The main character, more or less, is an FBI agent named Dale Cooper. He's played by MacLachlan, who played the main characters in Blue Velvet and Dune. And he is probably the least formal FBI agent that has ever come across screen, except possibly Gary Busey in Point Break. He is unfailingly chipper, always eager to experience life in small-town Twin Peaks, loves the environment, loves the air, loves the hospitality, really loves the food and the coffee. Big fan of food and coffee. It's funny, Tarantino, is big on having characters that eat badly, and it seems like that's something that's really celebrated here as well. They like their steaks, and they like their eggs and their high cholesterol diets and desserts, and of course they drink lots and lots and lots of coffee. Yeah, so he's really a lot of fun in the show, and plus he's always talking into a tape recorder to someone who's either his secretary or his assistant back in his home office. At one point he actually is having some trouble in the hotel that he's staying in, because there's a group of people there that's singing all hours of the night, making a lot of noise, making it for him difficult to sleep. So he's recording onto the tape and has requested a pair of earplugs to be sent to him. Now I'm thinking to myself afterwards, wait a minute, he's making all these notes on tape for his secretary to transcribe or act upon or whatever, but if he needed earplugs sent to him, wouldn't he just call someone on the phone? I mean, he's going to mail this cassette to his assistant in some other town, and then she's going to send the earplugs rather than just, it would be faster if he just picked up the phone, but, that's part of his style. Also part of his style is this sort of, he has an extrasensory thing going on. He relies a lot on dream interpretation, and he relies on something more than just regular, plain old human intuition or experience as an agent. And in the later parts of the show and in the feature film subsequently, he seems to have some sort of psychic or Zen ability to determine stuff, but he's probably just very, very intelligent. Anyway, some of the other characters are, of course, the sheriff of the town, who's also, in on the investigation, and his deputies. And there's a lot of other supporting characters, most notably Laura Palmer's family, her parents, her mother and father, and her friends. Now, Laura had a boyfriend named Bobby, but as it turns out, Bobby was also seeing a waitress named Shelley on the side, and Laura was seeing a biker student named James on the side, and her best friend was a gal named Donna, and after she dies, Donna and James realize that they are in love with each other, so now they're seeing each other secretly. It's crazy, all these secret relationships. The primary business in the town is the mill, which cuts up lumber from all the trees that are all over the place. They're some kind of fir. I forget exactly. They talk about what type of tree it is in the first episode. But the lady who owns the mill is Chinese, I believe. She's played by what's the actress's name? Joan Chen, right? Joan Chen's actually having a relationship with the sheriff, and the mill was left to her by her late husband, who died suddenly, like the previous year. And the woman who runs the mill is her late husband's sister, and she's married to Jack Nance, who of course is the lead in Eraserhead. She really wants to control the mill, so she's scheming with a guy named Benjamin Horn, who owns a hotel, into scamming Joan Chen out of ownership of the hotel. They'll burn it to the ground for the insurance money, something like that. Meanwhile, Benjamin Horn's daughter, Audrey Horn, who's played by Sheryl Lee, is one of Laura Palmer's classmates, and she develops kind of a thing for Agent Cooper, the MacLachlan character, so she is doing whatever she can to aid in his investigation, even though she's not supposed to because she's just a kid. By the way, Sheryl Lee is awfully beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, you've got a large cast of characters, and there's other characters as well. They're all sort of connected to each other one way or the other, of course. And episodes dip in and out of each other's storylines while still pursuing the Laura Palmer case. Now, of course, I have rewatched the first season, basically, after having not seen it for many years. And I've seen the entire series and the feature film, of course, already. So the fun part for me was, on occasion, you would touch a base with the character who, of course, turns out to be Laura Palmer's murder, which isn't revealed, of course, early on. And I found it very interesting watching that character's behavior, knowing what I knew about, what was going to be revealed later on. I was also really interested, because I've seen the feature film many more times than I had any of the episodes. So characters would be describing things, and I'd be thinking to myself, well, this is something that happened in the film, but of course, the film was made afterwards. So the film had to be staged in a way that matched what the characters had described in the television show already. So it wasn't like the characters were describing something you'd seen in a film. They were describing something that was only just previously imagined, and then they had to sort of dramatize it for the feature film. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the series. Like I said, I only saw the first season, and there's 2 of them. So I've only seen like the first 8 episodes. But there is a second season, and it brings in some people like Ian Buchanan and Heather Graham, and I believe Billy Zane was also in a few episodes during the second season. But some of these standout people in the first season, probably my favorite actor is Dana Ashbrook, who played Bobby, Laura's boyfriend. He's just a really, really strong personality. He's a really great presence. I mean, he's a real smart aleck, and he's got a military father who's always trying to discipline him in sort of a gentle way, but he just, isn't having it. He's very rebellious, he gets in all kinds of trouble. Plus, he's seeing this waitress who's married to this really rough guy, a real, don't want to mess with this type of guy. As a trucker who's also dealing drugs on the side. Let's see, who else is in the movie? Oh, I wanted to mention the score by Angelo Badalamenti. There's some themes. I don't think this show was meant to be watched with like every episode back to back, as I've been doing. I crammed basically 8 episodes into 3 days, and a lot of the same themes are repeated over and over again, which gets a little tiring after a while. but still good music. And but none so effective as in the first episode, that pilot in which Laura's body is discovered. Actually, it's funny, Jack Nance, I've complained in previous videos about how small his parts were becoming in David Lynch's films. Well, in this show, he actually had a really big part. He plays one of the principal characters, and he's the guy that actually not only has the first line of dialogue in the show, but he's also the guy that discovers Laura Palmer's body near his home. So there's in the pilot, the way all the characters discover what happened is really, really great. The way the parents find out about it, and the way the other kids find out about it. There's a couple of really good scenes where that happens, and in one particular scene, the character of Donna, Laura's best friend, sees a police officer walk into her classroom and ask for Laura's boyfriend, Bobby. And of course he isn't there, he's in a different classroom. But she immediately thinks that something is wrong, and she looks over at the desk where Laura's supposed to be sitting to find it empty. And then she looks across the room and sees James. And only she knows that James and Laura have been seeing each other secretly. That's something that only the three of them knew about. And they look at each other and they go, "This is Laura, isn't it? Something's happened to Laura." She immediately starts getting very, very emotional. And the cue at that point, the music, which she's getting really upset, and she hears the announcement, Laura's officially announced, that she's dead. And it's this sad sort of piano theme. And then as the scene winds down, there's a shot which focuses on a display case somewhere in the high school where you see Laura's picture from the yearbook. And it slowly goes in, and then the music turns ominous right before it ends, and we go to a commercial break. Yeah, really, really like the pilot a lot. There are a number of scenes which I rewatched and saw again a second time just because they were so good. Yeah, really good cast of actors. I'm not real happy with the deputy, who's kind of a bumbling doofus. I don't really think that, despite the fact that it's a kind of a small town with a population of less than 1,500, that they would still hire this guy to be a deputy, but he's sort of a comical character. Oh, and they eat tons of donuts too. They really don't worry about cholesterol here. Anyway, enjoying the series, and I'll pick it up later on and watch the rest of it, of course. But I didn't want to start watching these episodes before seeing the other Kyle MacLachlan Lynch films, because I kind of want to watch them in order. But for the next video I do, I'm posting this video a day late, obviously, because I planned to do it Thursday, but that was the American Thanksgiving, and I kind of ran out of time. So on Sunday, I'll be posting a video where I talk about Fire Walk With Me, which is the 1992 film that is essentially a prequel to the television series, in which Laura Palmer is the main character, and you see basically the last week or the last few days of her life before she's killed. So I'll be talking about that one next, and I hope you'll tune in for that. And as always, please feel free to make your own Lynch video and attach it to one of mine, and I'll add you to the playlist so we can all have our videos in one spot. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.